Right now, breaking news on News Channel 8.
We do begin with breaking news at this hour at the Westfield Brandon Mall. Good afternoon. I'm Stacy Scheibel.
And I'm Jennifer Piñate. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting in the parking lot. 8 on your side, Justin Schecker got to the scene within the past hour. Justin, what do we know so far?
Jennifer and Stacy, good afternoon to you both. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office stresses this was not an active shooter situation. The Westfield Brandon Mall is not under any lockdown at this hour. Take a live look at the scene. The parking lot here outside of Dillard's has been roped off with crime tape. You can see down the road here in this row of cars, there are several evidence markers on the street here as investigators gather evidence from this shooting, again, earlier this afternoon around 2:15. The deputies tell us one person was shot and taken to Tampa General Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Forensics units again here on the scene gathering evidence to likely review any surveillance camera video from the parking lot in and around the mall as they try to determine a suspect from this shooting. So again, there was no active shooter at the mall. One person was shot and taken to Tampa General Hospital, and now the investigation just getting underway to try to find and identify the shooter. That's latest here live at the Brandon Mall. I'm Justin Schecker, 8 on your side.
Thanks, Justin, and we will continue to follow this breaking news and bring you the latest information on air and online at WFLA.com. And we are your local election headquarters. Tonight we have team coverage on the governor's debate, which you can only see live right here on News Channel 8.
As the first day of early voting comes to an end, Governor Ron Desantis and Democratic candidate Charlie Crist will square off in Fort Pierce. And that's where we find our Keith Cade. He is live outside of the debate hall.
And 8 on your side's Brittany Muller will join us in a few minutes with a look at the early voting numbers across Hillsborough County. But let's get straight to Keith. He's breaking down what we can expect at the debate tonight.
Hey, Stacy and Jen, it's a beautiful night here in Fort Pierce, right along the Treasure Island coast. You can see the theater behind me. This is a Sunrise Theater, beautiful old historic theater. So the setting is perfect. I mean, if you want to come to a debate and experience a historic town and something nice, then this is a place to be. But what's happening inside really is why the media is all around us. They've blocked the streets, except for the little girl who's managed to find a way with a 4x4 Desantis sign. She's going through. She's cute. But really, what's happening here is about a face-to-face meeting between two candidates that have really slugged it out in the campaign through political ads. We've been watching those ads endlessly now for weeks on end. Tonight is a chance to see these two side by side. Ron DeSantis does a pretty good job of holding these what I call media gaggles. He takes a question and then he moves on, unless he's perhaps on a network of choice. He'll do a one-on-one, but you don't really get a lot of pinned down moments with Governor Ron DeSantis. Charlie Crist, on the other hand, has to perform well here tonight because he is just being outspent, and really the polls are not working in his favor right now. He has the most to gain. Ron DeSantis has the most to lose. DeSantis has to stay on message tonight, and the tone, I think, is not going to be anything like we saw in that Demings-Rubio debate where both candidates were aggressive. It was a much closer race. This one, there's a pretty good spread, Stacy and Jen.
So, Keith, how important is the money factor at this point in the race? We have 15 days left in the campaign. Can Charlie Crist compete with DeSantis money-wise?
It's going to be difficult. He's been struggling the whole way, Charlie Crist has, when it comes to spending for campaigns. I mean, you're talking about $100 million plus for Ron DeSantis and about $3 million left for Charlie Crist. That's why this debate, Stacy, is so important tonight for Charlie Crist. The people get to see him, they get to hear his message, but again, the odds are stacked against him tonight, so he has to perform extremely well. DeSantis has to protect. We're going to cover all that for you right here in Fort Pierce, and I'll see you back again at 5:36, special at 6:30, and of course, at 11 o'clock, you'll see how this debate all turned out. Back to you guys.
A lot of eyes will be on that tonight. Thank you, Keith.
And both candidates have lengthy records of service. Governor DeSantis has held his office since 2019. He started his career as an officer in the Navy and was assigned to the Navy Judge Advocate General's Corps. After returning to the States, he became a federal prosecutor before being elected to Congress in 2012.
And Representative Charlie Crist grew up in St. Pete. He has had an extensive political career in the Tampa Bay area and statewide. After holding multiple state offices, Crist was elected governor as a Republican and served from 2007 to 2011. He then left the Republican Party and now represents Florida's 13th congressional district as a Democrat.
And as you heard Keith say, tonight is likely Crist's last chance to stop DeSantis from reclaiming Florida's top office. This recent poll from Florida Atlantic University shows the uphill battle he faces going into the debate tonight. 51% of Florida voters favor DeSantis, 40% for Crist. That same survey also showed most Floridians approve of the governor's response to Hurricane Ian, and most expect him to win the election.
Right now, voters can cast their ballots early in 5 Tampa Bay counties, including Pinellas, Hillsborough, Polk, Manatee, and Sarasota.
Polls will be open at dozens of locations at 7 in the morning until 7 at night. 8 on your sides, Brittany Muller joins us live from Jan Platt Library in Tampa with what you need to know before you go. Hi, Brittany.
Jen, Stacy, good afternoon. This is just one of 26 early voting polling locations that you can come in Hillsborough County and cast your vote. And you should have received a sample ballot. It'll look just like this. This gives you a chance to preview and prepare.
I always like to early vote. In the event I get hit by a bus, I want my vote to count early on.
The Hillsborough County Supervisor of Elections Office expects 1/3 of the nearly 926,000 registered voters to vote early.
So I got to make it different. So that's why I'm here voting.
Many of the voters we spoke with say current issues, including inflation, women's reproductive rights, and gas prices, are driving them to the polls.
I think there will be a very, very big turnout.
Before noon on Monday, Supervisor of Elections Craig Latimer says 3,000 voters went to the polls to vote early.
We've had a good response in vote by mail. We've sent out over 330,000 vote by mail ballots. We've gotten back, I think, 75,000, somewhere right around that number.
Vote by mail ballots have to be in by 7 p.m. on Election Day, November 8th.
You can drop it in the mailbox, or you can drop it at any of the 26 early vote sites during early voting hours.
The early voting polling locations are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the next 2 weeks. That's through November 26th. Today, we also spoke with Congresswoman Kathy Castor and her opponent, James Judge. You'll hear their messages today at 5. Reporting live in Tampa this afternoon, Brittany Muller, 8 on your side.
Early voting is also underway in Pinellas County, and it's expected to be a busy couple of weeks at polling places. Election officials there say they expect 70,000 people to cast their ballots ahead of Election Day. Early voting is an important part of the election process. Elections officials tell us in the past, more than 80% of ballots have been cast ahead of Election Day.
Folks just really enjoy the convenience of voting prior to Election Day. So whether that's by mail or in person at one of our 7 early voting sites, it just provides for that flexibility.
There are 7 locations in Pinellas County where you can vote early from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. through November 6th. Don't forget, though, you do need to bring a photo ID with a signature, like a driver's license, to your polling place to cast your ballot.
We want to remind you of those important dates coming up. Like we mentioned, early voting starts today in several counties, including Hillsborough and Pinellas. It runs through the 5th in some counties and the 6th in others. So make sure you double check with your county's elections office. Mail ballots must be requested no later than 5 p.m. on October 29th. And you can watch the gubernatorial debate right here on News Channel 8. We are the only station airing the debate live during prime time. It will also be streaming on WFLA Now. We'll get you ready for the debate with a special edition of Battleground Florida tonight at 6:30. NBC's Nightly News will air on WTTA Grade 38.
Taking a look outside right now, we've got beautiful sunshine, partly cloudy skies, and nice warm temperatures. We're sitting in the mid-80s with a light westerly breeze right now, but we're in for a really nice cool down this evening. In fact, it turns into fire pit weather before you know it. Mostly clear skies, sinking down into the 70s after sunset, and then cooling down into the 60s overnight tonight. We'll take a look at what we're watching in the tropics coming up next.
We have new information on a deadly school shooting in St. Louis. We're told 2 people were killed and several others injured. The suspect also died. Police were called to the school after reports of an active shooter there. Officials say students running from the school said that the shooter was armed with a long gun. Officers found the shooter and exchanged gunfire. The man, who has not been identified, was shot and taken to the hospital where he later died. Officials said 8 others were also taken to the hospital with various injuries. One woman died at the hospital and a teenage girl was pronounced dead at the school.
Back here in the Bay Area, another deadly shooting along busy 7th Avenue in Ybor City left a 20-year-old man dead and a suspect behind bars.
That suspect is now facing murder charges, and News Channel 8's Annie Mapp is in Ybor with the latest. Annie?
Tampa police say the shooting happened before 3 Sunday morning when people were leaving the bars in this area. It happened here on North 16th Street, right across from Centro Ybor. Investigators say that's where a fight ended in death. It started when a fight broke out between several people at this intersection off North 16th Street and 7th Avenue. Tampa police say a 21-year-old suspect named Tony Torres attacked and shot a 20-year-old victim.
It's a scary situation.
The victim was struck in his upper body and taken to an area hospital where he died from his injuries. Torres now faces a felony charge of first-degree premeditated murder. Congressional candidate James Judge was doing a police ride-along in Ybor when it all happened.
Me and the officer that I was with, we're looking around trying to find out, where this is coming from.
Tampa police were already on scene when the shooting happened, working to clear the nightlife crowds when people heard the sound of gunfire.
The crowd started running. People ran up to the cruiser saying, "Hey, they're shooting at us, they're shooting at us."
The suspect fled on foot, but police were able to quickly catch him 3 blocks away. Those who frequent Ybor City are concerned.
It's unfortunate because you can't come out and have a good time. You just don't know what's out there or what could happen.
And Tampa police have not yet released the name of that 20-year-old victim in this case. Police say there was also another suspect who fired shots during the incident, but those shots didn't hit anyone. Right now, they're working to identify who that person is. Reporting live in Tampa, Annie Mapp, 8 on your side.
Still to come, a new British Prime Minister has been appointed by the Conservative Party.
How he's already making history before taking on the new title.
And a reminder, the 2022 Tampa Bay Heart Walk is less than 2 weeks away on Saturday, November 5th. And this year, it's back at Raymond James Stadium. Florida Blue Cross Blue Shield is matching the first $50,000 we raise. Just go to WFLA.com/heartwalk to donate and join our team.
News Channel 8 Sports is sponsored by the Tampa Bay Area Volkswagen dealers.